The ocean is not a cradle. We have long comforted ourselves with the image of the sea as a vast, blue womb, the nurturing origin of all that breathes. But beneath the sun-drenched waves of the Red Sea, far beyond the reach of light and hope, lies a reality that defies every biological law we hold dear. There is a silence in the deep that is not peaceful. It is the silence of an executioner. At the bottom of this rift, the earth is torn open, and from its wounds, something ancient and toxic is bleeding into the water. We call them brine pools, but a more honest name would be the dead zones of the abyss. Imagine descending through miles of crushing, cold darkness. The pressure is a physical weight, a force that would collapse your lungs and shatter your bones before you even caught a glimpse of the bottom. Then, the sonar pings. The seabed is not a flat desert. It is a jagged volcanic landscape of nightmares. In the depressions between submarine volcanoes like Hataba and Mabahis, the water changes. It becomes heavy, it becomes thick, it becomes a lake within an ocean, a separate, shimmering body of water so dense with salt and minerals that it sits motionless at the bottom, trapped in its own toxic gravity. These pools are not water as we understand it. They are a concentrated, caustic chemical soup, heated by the raging magma chambers beneath the crust to a staggering 60 degrees Celsius. In these pools, there is no oxygen. There is only sulfur, carbon dioxide, and heavy metals like zinc and manganese. For any normal creature, a single touch of this water is a death sentence. Fish that accidentally drift into the brine are instantly pickled, their bodies preserved in a macabre salt-choked stasis. They do not rot. They simply float on the surface of these underwater graveyards, eternal monuments to the hostility of the deep. Yet, as we stare into these boiling, lightless cauldrons, we realize the most terrifying truth of all. The abyss is breathing. In conditions that should be a total vacuum of life, something is moving. These pools are not empty, they are teeming. But the life that exists here is not like us. It is not like anything that walks in the light. We are talking about extremophiles, organisms that have evolved to treat poisonous air and boiling heat as a luxury. This is a form of biology that feels fundamentally alien, a glimpse into a primordial world that existed before the stars were named, and which will remain long after we are gone. The energy here does not come from the sun. The sun is a distant memory, a myth that cannot penetrate this much water. The energy here comes from the darkness itself. The volcanoes pump out gases and minerals, fueling a food chain based on chemosynthesis. At the base are giant bacteria, not the microscopic specks you find on your skin, but massive undulating mats of biological matter that coat the edges of the brine pools like a living skin. They feed on the sulfur, turning the planet's internal heat into a grotesque form of vitality. Above them are the polychaete worms and amphipods, creatures with translucent flesh and blind eyes, scavengers that dance on the edge of the toxic lakes, waiting for a corpse to fall from the world above. This discovery was presented at the Goldschmidt Geochemistry Conference, but its implications go far beyond the study of rocks and salts. It forces us to reconsider our place in the cosmos. We have spent decades looking at the stars, searching for a twin of the Earth, a Goldilocks planet with mild temperatures and fresh water. We assumed that life was fragile, a delicate flame that needed perfect conditions to survive. The Red Sea proves that we were wrong. Life is not a flame, it is a parasite. It is a mold that can grow in the heart of a furnace. It is a cancer that thrives on poison. If life can flourish in the boiling, toxic trenches of our own ocean, then the search for extraterrestrial life takes on a darker tone. Our eyes are now fixed on Europa, the icy moon of Jupiter. For years, we have known that Europa possesses a hidden ocean beneath its frozen crust. The James Webb Space Telescope has recently detected carbon dioxide on its surface. We once hoped this meant Europa was a peaceful, watery world. But now, looking at the brine pools of the Red Sea, we must prepare for a different reality. Europa's ocean is likely a dark, high-pressure volcanic abyss, filled with toxic salts and boiling vents. If life is there, it will not be little green men. It will be the red worms of the abyss. It will be something that lives in 60-degree broth, something that finds our perfect environment of oxygen and sunlight to be a frozen, barren wasteland. The realization is unsettling. If life does not need good conditions to exist, then the universe is likely infested with it. But it is not a life we can communicate with. It is not a life that shares our values. It is a life of pure, cold survival, an indifferent biology that thrives in the very places where we would vanish in an instant. The Red Sea is a laboratory of the impossible. It is a window into the deep history of our planet, a time when the Earth was a volcanic hellscape. These brine pools are remnants of that ancient chaos, preserved at the bottom of the sea like a dark secret. Every time we send a probe into the deep or a telescope into the sky, we are looking into a mirror. We are beginning to understand that the normal life we see around you as the trees, the birds, the humans is the anomaly. We are the ones living on the edge. The true masters of the universe are the things that live in the dark, the creatures that can survive the crushing weight of a mile of water and the toxic heat of the Earth's core. We are the guests. They are the owners. Consider the sheer resilience of a bacterium that thrives in a pool of heavy metals and boiling salt. It has no brain, no heart, no soul, yet it is more durable than any empire we have ever built. It exists in a state of eternal, blind hunger, a machine designed to endure. When we look at these brine pools, we aren't just looking at biology, we are looking at the terrifying power of entropy and adaptation. It is a reminder that the universe does not care about comfort, it does not care about beauty. It only cares about the continuation of the chemical reaction we call life, no matter how grotesque that reaction might be. The Red Sea Rift is a place where the world is literally tearing itself apart. As the African and Arabian plates drift away from each other, the crust thins, and the fire below moves closer to the surface. This is where the earth is most alive, and yet, it is where the water is most deadly. It is a paradox of creation and destruction. The brine pools are the heart of this paradox. They are islands of death in a sea of life, and yet they are the birthplaces of creatures that defy every logic. If we were to drain the Red Sea, we would see a landscape more alien than the surface of Mars. We would see vast, shimmering lakes of toxic brine surrounded by the towering cones of submarine volcanoes. We would see miles of bacterial mats, moving like a slow, gray tide across the seabed. We would see the blind worms weaving through the sulfurous smoke. It would be a world of shadows and heat, a vision of Earth that we were never meant to see. This is the hidden face of our planet. We spend our lives on the thin, dry crust, oblivious to the eldritch reality beneath our feet. We worry about the weather and the seasons, while miles below us, the ancient fires are cooking a primordial soup that could birth a new kingdom of monsters. The discovery of these pools is a warning. It tells us that we do not know our home as well as we think we do. It tells us that the abyss is not a void. It is a laboratory. When you look out over the ocean, do not see just the waves, see the weight. See the miles of water pressing down on a world of eternal night. Think of the Hataba and Mabahis volcanoes, silently screaming gas and fire into the brine. Think of the giant bacteria, the silent, mindless architects of the deep. Think of the fish that touched the pool and became a salt statue, a warning to all who dare to enter the dead zones. We are entering a new age of discovery, but it is an age that brings no comfort. The more we learn about the extreme limits of life, the more we realize how small our habitable world really is. We are clinging to a tiny island of oxygen and light in a universe that is mostly dark, cold, and toxic. The brine pools are a reminder of the fragility of our perspective. What we call a deadly environment is a paradise for the things in the deep. What we call life is just one version of a much larger, much more terrifying story. The next time you think of aliens, do not look to the stars. The aliens are already here. They are swimming in boiling broth beneath the Red Sea. They are waiting in the volcanic vents of the Pacific. They are thriving in the radioactive cooling ponds of our power plants. Life is a force that cannot be contained, but it is also a force that does not need us. We are a brief flicker in the long, dark history of a planet that belongs to the extranophiles. In the end, the Red Sea brine pools teach us the ultimate lesson of discovered. Nature is not our friend. It is an indifferent power, capable of creating life in the heart of a toxic nightmare. We are merely witnesses to a process that is as beautiful as it is horrific. The abyss is breathing, and it doesn't care if we are listening. It doesn't care if we understand. It only continues to boil, to flow, and to create things that should not exist. The dark water is rising, and the secrets of the deep are finally coming to the surface. But are we ready to see what is looking back at us from the brine? The search for life was always a search for ourselves, but in the Red Sea, we found something else entirely. We found the face of the abyss, and it is thriving.